Action without a governing belief is the frantic motion of a drowning man. It is pure chaos, a ship without a rudder caught in a storm of circumstance, expending immense energy only to be dashed against the rocks. The world is full of ambitious men who work tirelessly, but their labor builds nothing of permanence because it lacks a blueprint. They mistake movement for progress. The first principle is to understand that all meaningful action is merely the servant of a deeply held, unshakable belief. A powerful conviction is the true engine of creation. My mind, like my business, was governed by a central ledger. Every thought, every assumption, every belief was an entry to be audited for its truth and its utility. Mental clarity must precede financial clarity. A man who allows his mind to be cluttered with contradictory ideas, with fleeting desires and unfounded fears, is a man managing a failing enterprise. Before you can hope to command an empire of industry, you must first establish absolute sovereignty over the empire of your own thoughts. Every entry must be accounted for. There is a vast chasm between wishing for a result and believing in its eventuality. A wish is a passive plea to the universe, an admission of powerlessness. It is the language of chance. Belief, however, is an active force. It is a personal law of physics, a certainty so profound that it organizes your actions and perceptions to align with its fulfillment. I never wished for success. I held the belief in the inevitable triumph of order and efficiency, and then I simply performed the necessary, logical steps to reveal that reality. These convictions were not bestowed upon me at birth. They were forged in the fires of observation and discipline. I looked upon the chaos of the world, the waste, the inefficiency, the short-sighted greed, and I dedicated myself to its opposite. I sculpted my beliefs as a stonemason shapes a block of granite, with deliberate, patient, and relentless force. Each day was an exercise in reinforcing these internal pillars, ensuring they could withstand the weight of any external pressure or temporary failure. It is a process of deliberate construction. Therefore, the great decisions that defined my career were not moments of sudden, inspired genius. They were the inevitable consequences of a pre-existing philosophy. When I chose to refine our own oil, build our own pipelines, and consolidate the industry, it was not a gamble. It was the logical execution of a core belief in total efficiency. The world saw a bold move. I saw the next required step in a mathematical proof. Action is the conclusion of the argument, not its beginning. This is not a map I am giving you, but a compass. Understanding these ideas is merely the first step, a glance at the destination. The true journey, the one that separates all men of consequence from the masses, is the daily, hourly discipline of living by them. It is the difference between knowing the principles of navigation and actually crossing the unforgiving ocean. Many will understand, few will commit. That is the first great filter. My first belief is this: business is not a jungle to be conquered, but a garden to be cultivated. The chaos of cutthroat competition is a sign of an immature and inefficient system. It represents a fundamental misunderstanding of the nature of commerce. The ultimate goal is not to vanquish your rivals, but to bring order from their disarray. Efficiency, in its highest form, is a service to society, and by extension, a service to the divine. It is an act of imposing a rational and beneficial pattern upon the raw material of the marketplace. This perspective transforms the very concept of a competitor. An opponent is not an enemy to be destroyed, but rather a symptom of a flawed system. He represents a piece of the puzzle that is not yet in its correct place. The task, then, is not annihilation, but absorption and integration. By bringing a competitor into a larger, more rational structure, you eliminate their inefficiency and your own, creating a more perfect whole. This is not warfare, it is harmonization. It is the pursuit of a flawless, interconnected machinery of commerce. The word monopoly has been used as a pejorative against me, a weapon wielded by those who thrive on chaos. They misunderstand its true meaning. In my mind, it was never about the accumulation of power for its own sake. It was about achieving the most streamlined, waste-free, and perfect form of an industry. It is the logical endpoint of the quest for absolute efficiency. By eliminating redundant and wasteful competition, you lower costs for everyone and create a stability that benefits the entire civilization. It is an act of economic architecture. In this endeavor, I always considered Providence to be my silent partner. I believed that the drive to create order, to eliminate waste, and to build something of lasting value was to align oneself with a higher purpose. This conviction removes the crushing weight of personal ego from the equation. Success is not a testament to my own genius, but to the correctness of the principles I follow. Failure is merely a sign that I have deviated from that divinely logical path. This belief provides a foundation of unshakable calm. Every action taken by the Standard Oil Company was an expression of this philosophy. Each negotiation, each acquisition, each new pipeline laid was a deliberate step toward replacing a volatile and unpredictable market with a system of clockwork precision. We sought to control every aspect of the process from the wellhead to the final lamp, not out of greed, a low and vulgar motive, but out of a sacred duty to impose order and eliminate the sin of waste. We were agents of economic rationalism. The most powerful result of this core belief is the gift of infinite patience. When you know you are not simply running a race against others, but are instead building a great cathedral of commerce, your time frame shifts from months to decades. You are not disturbed by temporary setbacks or the noise of critics. You are laying one perfect stone at a time, confident that you are building a structure that will stand for generations. Your work is not a sprint, it is a legacy. This pursuit of order is not an abstract philosophy. It demands a practical tool of uncompromising truth. For me, that tool was the ledger. The columns of debit and credit are more than a record of finance. They are the final, impartial judge of all actions and intentions. A number cannot be flattered, it cannot be deceived, and it cannot lie. It is the voice of reality itself, speaking in a language that cuts through all emotion and self-delusion. The ledger was my moral and operational compass. The greatest dangers in any enterprise are the twin poisons of unbridled emotion and misguided intuition. Hope is not a strategy. Passion, while a useful fuel, is a terrible navigator. Men fail because they fall in love with a failing idea or allow fear to dictate a premature retreat. The numbers, however, tell the unvarnished story. They reveal what is working and what is failing with cold, surgical precision. I trusted my ledger far more than I ever trusted the feelings in my gut. From my earliest days, I recorded every single cent I earned and spent. This was not an act of miserliness. It was the most important training of my young life. It taught my mind to see the world as a grand system of cause and effect, of investment and return. Every dollar was a seed, and the ledger tracked its growth or its withering. This habit, practiced over decades, hardwired my brain to think in terms of tangible, measurable reality, not in the fog of abstract hopes. Think of the ledger as a form of confession. It forces you to confront the truth of your own behavior. It reveals not only your financial health, but your operational and even moral health. Where is there waste? Where is there vanity driving expenses? Where is there a lack of discipline? A man who is afraid to look at his own ledger is a man who is afraid of himself. To face the numbers, however grim, is the first and most necessary step toward correction and improvement. The discipline required is immense. It is the discipline to look upon the stark figures of a loss without flinching, without making excuses. Many men build elaborate fantasies to shield themselves from the truths their own records are screaming at them. They prefer a comforting lie to a harsh reality. But reality is the only ground upon which a lasting structure can be built. The refusal to deceive oneself is the cornerstone of all great achievement. I urge you to consider this in your own life. What is your personal ledger? Is it your time, your energy, your focus? Are you meticulously tracking where these invaluable assets are being invested? Or are you operating on guesswork and hope, bleeding resources and ventures that provide no return? Audit your life with the same rigor you would audit a business. Find the truth in your own numbers and you will find your path forward. This brings me to my second core belief, which springs directly from the first. Waste is the greatest of all sins. It is more than a financial loss. It is a moral failure. Every drop of oil wasted, every moment of time squandered, every resource used inefficiently is a direct insult to the bounty of creation. The universe is a system of sublime efficiency, and to act against that principle is to act against the natural and divine order of things. A reverence for resources is paramount. Nature was my first and greatest teacher in this regard. Observe any forest, any ecosystem. There is no waste. The fallen leaf nourishes the soil. The death of one organism provides life for another. Everything is part of a perfect closed loop of utility. A well-run business, and indeed a well-run life, must strive to emulate this flawless economy. The goal is to create a system where every single output becomes a useful input for another part of the process. This was not a mere theory. At our refineries, we took the sludge that was once discarded as useless waste, a byproduct of the kerosene refining process, and through painstaking research, our chemists learned to derive hundreds of new and profitable products from it, from paraffin wax to petroleum jelly. This was not born of simple greed. It was born of a philosophical abhorrence of waste. I could not stand to see any part of the gift of the earth be thrown away as refuse. This belief extended to my personal life. I lived with frugality not because I was a miser, but because I saw opulence and extravagant living as a form of decay. It is a waste of capital that could be reinvested to build and create. More importantly, it softens the mind and weakens the discipline. A modest life keeps the spirit sharp and the focus clear, preventing the rot of complacency that so often accompanies great wealth. Frugality is a spiritual discipline that maintains a keen edge, but the most tragic form of waste is the waste of human potential. A man given great talents of mind or body who allows them to lie fallow is committing the greatest sin of all. He is a factory that has been given the finest raw materials and machinery, yet allows them to rust and decay in idleness. To not use your God-given capacities to their absolute fullest extent is to squander the most precious resource in the universe. It is a profound dereliction of duty. Therefore, look at your own world and ask the hard question: where am I permitting waste? Is it in the hours lost to mindless distraction? Is it in the opportunities for growth that are ignored? Is it in the ideas that are conceived but never acted upon? The path to abundance is not found in addition but in subtraction. It is found in the relentless, systematic elimination of waste in all its forms. This is the shortest and most direct route to prosperity. My third belief is in the active and strategic power of silence. The common man believes that power is expressed through speech, through proclamations and loud commands. This is a profound error. The man who is always speaking is never listening, and it is in listening, not in talking, that the most valuable commodity in the world is acquired: accurate information. Silence is not an absence of activity. It is a state of intense and focused absorption. There is an immense strategic advantage in being underestimated, in being the quietest man in the room. Allow others to fill the silence. They will inevitably reveal their plans, their weaknesses, their fears, and their true intentions. They will project their own assumptions onto your quiet demeanor. While they are busy performing, you are busy gathering intelligence. Their need to speak is a weakness you can use to your overwhelming advantage. Never interrupt an opponent when he is in the process of defeating himself. It was my consistent practice in any negotiation or meeting to speak last, and often to not speak at all. My objective was never to win a debate or to impress others with my rhetoric. My sole objective was to achieve my desired outcome. To do that, I first needed to understand the entire landscape of the situation, the motivations of every person present, the hidden variables, the potential points of leverage. Every word I uttered was a deliberate move, not a casual remark. A word once spoken cannot be retrieved. Silence is also the crucible in which clear thought is forged. The truly great ideas, the solutions to intractable problems, do not arise in the midst of noise and clamor. They emerge in the stillness of deep contemplation, when the mind is free from the distraction of constant output. It is in this quiet space that disconnected facts can arrange themselves into a coherent pattern, revealing a path that was previously invisible. Silence is the soil in which strategic genius grows. Contrast this with the modern obsession with constant communication and self-promotion. The world is awash in noise, a torrent of opinions and declarations, but true power does not need to advertise its presence. It is the silent pressure of a tectonic plate, not the loud crack of a lightning bolt. The man who feels the need to constantly announce his own importance is often the man with the least of it. Real strength is calm, confident, and quiet. I propose an exercise in your next important conversation. Commit yourself to listening more than you speak. Focus with your entire being on understanding the other person's perspective. Without formulating your own response while they are talking, you will be astonished at the depth of information you have been missing. You will learn more in 1 hour of active silence than in 100 hours of careless talk. Practice the discipline of the quiet observer. These first 3 beliefs in a divine order, in the sin of waste and in the power of silence, are not isolated principles. They are interlocking gears in a single machine, and together they produce the twin forces of all great undertakings: patience and persistence. These qualities are not, as many believe, a matter of temperament or willpower. They are the logical and inevitable outcome of the underlying belief system. They are a product of the architecture. Consider the legendary stories of our persistence in the early days, drilling for oil where all others had given up. This was not blind stubbornness. It was an expression of faith in our core principles. We believed in the order beneath the ground. We applied the most efficient methods, and we silently ignored the chorus of doubters. Our persistence was not an emotional act of defiance. It was a calm, rational adherence to a process we knew to be sound. Persistence, as I practiced it, is not the application of brute force. It is not about hammering away at a problem with increasing fury. It is rather like the action of water upon a stone. The water does not triumph through its power, but through its constancy. It is the calm, steady, and relentless application of a principle over a long period of time. This kind of persistence is born of certainty, not desperation. It does not exhaust you, for it is aligned with your deepest convictions. The philosophical aversion to waste is a powerful fuel for this persistence. When you view your time, your capital, and your energy as sacred resources, you do not abandon an investment lightly. You are committed to seeing it through to its logical conclusion. To give up prematurely would be to commit the sin of waste, to discard all that has already been invested. This principle forces you to be deliberate in your commitments and steadfast in their execution. Silence provides the necessary sanctuary for this long work. Persistence is impossible amidst the noise of external criticism and internal doubt. My practice of silence created an inner fortress where my strategies could mature. Insulated from the short-term panics and fleeting opinions of the market, it allowed me to maintain my own counsel and to proceed with my plans, undisturbed by the storms raging outside the walls of my own conviction. Therefore, do not despair if you feel you lack patience or persistence. These are not character traits you are born with. They are skills you cultivate. They are the fruits that grow from the tree of your core beliefs. If you build a foundation upon the principles of order, efficiency, and quiet observation, you will find that patience is no longer a struggle, but a natural state of being. You will find the strength to persist, not for a day or a week, but for as long as it takes.